Welcome to the Irish Side of the Moon. My name is Gabriel Logue, and I'm talking with Mr. James Randi. Hello, James.
Hello there.
Hello. Now, James is a self-proclaimed skeptic, professional charlatan, investigator, researcher, and educator. James is the founder of the James Randi Educational Foundation, the JREF. Would you mind if I read out the foundation goals?
Certainly.
I believe they have a lot to offer. The foundation's goals include creating a new generation of critical thinkers through lively classroom demonstrations and by reaching out to the next generation in the form of scholarships and awards, demonstrating to the public and the media through educational seminars the consequences of accepting paranormal and supernatural claims without questioning, supporting and conducting research into paranormal claims through well-designed experiments utilizing the scientific method, and by publishing the findings in the JREF official newsletter, Swift, and other periodicals. And the last one is assisting those who are being attacked as a result of their investigations and criticism of people who make paranormal claims, by maintaining a legal defence fund available to assist these individuals. James, why I read them out is when I was doing my research, I read these and they just jumped out, and I decided if you would talk about critical thinking, that would be great, because there's a severe lack on the planet of critical thinking.
Oh, yes, I agree with you there, but I must, just to go back a bit,
yes.
I refer to myself as a professional charlatan. I do that in quotation marks, and it's somewhat facetious.
Yes.
Because I used to have a calling card many, many years ago, which just simply said, James Randi, professional charlatan. And that was, I was kidding, so to speak. So don't take me too seriously on that.
Okay, you were a professional magician, the amazing Randi. Well, you still are. I mean,
yes, of course. It's in the DNA, I believe.
Okay, so you're well versed in the art of misdirection, embedded command, sleight of hand. Yes.
Yes, and not. You must understand that gives me the expertise, or rather specialized expertise, to be able to solve the tricks of these charlatans out there, these fakers and opportunists who are taking advantage of people's ignorance, really. And I don't mean that in a negative fashion. Ignorance is not a sin, but it is a sin if you don't try to do something to relieve it.
Certainly, if you know you're ignorant and claim to do nothing, well, that's not great. James, before we get into some of the stuff that you do, the uncovering the scams, would you mind if I asked you some questions about critical thinking, such as, what is critical thinking?
Critical thinking is different from the usual process that people use to process, to actually, let's say, maneuver their thoughts around things that they hear and evidence that's offered them. Now, remember, there is a difference between a critical thinker and someone who simply who is cynical, so to speak, has a bad attitude about everything. Nothing is true. Everybody is evil, etc. We critical thinkers are not cynics, not in any way. We try and we like to think the best about people and about their intentions until they prove to the contrary. So we don't make statements. I certainly don't make statements saying there's no such thing as ESP. There's no such thing as faith healing. There's no such thing as astral traveling, or whatever term you'd like to come up with. I simply say, if you say there is, then we challenge that, and we offer you $1 million prize if you can prove that that is so. And you don't have to prove it to me, because I would naturally, not wanting to give away the $1 million, I would say, no, I don't accept that proof, goodbye.
Okay.
They don't do it that way. We do it very tightly with independent people that we both sides agree to as authoritative, doing the actual decisions on it. And we do tests that don't require any decision. We don't have to take votes on it, or I think it's either there or not. When somebody says, I can fly by flapping my arms, I simply say, step over to the window here and prove it. And you don't have to have a judgment or a decision or a jury saying, I don't think he flew, or I do think he flew. You know, he either flew or he didn't.
Yeah.
And the evidence is right there before you. So that's the way we do things.
Okay. So with respect to the $1 million prize, that's how you apply critical thinking to that. Now, what criteria do you use for yourself when someone claims to be able to do something? So how do you calibrate against that? I mean,
well, I simply say, if you claim you can do this, make application. All you do is fill out the form. You just have to say what you can do, under what circumstances, with what accuracy, and that seems to be an insurmountable request to most of these people. They simply dilly-dally. They shift the language around. They keep. Some of us have been in correspondence literally for years, trying to decide what they can do and how. But most people don't get beyond the very first stage, which is that they can't make a statement saying what they can do under what circumstances with what accuracy. So they never get into the mix, so to speak. But we do get some of them through the filter, and many of them, hundreds of them, have been tested over the years in other countries and here. We don't ask people to come to Florida to cater to me and to my needs. No, we simply say that we will assign somebody in your area of the world, someone that you agree with and we agree with, having the right credentials to ascertain these things and to supervise them, and we will do it that way. So most of the tests are done in the people's home territory. They certainly don't have to travel to do it. And we've had hundreds of those tests over the years. No one has ever gotten beyond the preliminary stage, because there are two stages to it. Preliminary stage, odds are about 1,000 to 1 of them getting it by chance alone. Now, if you say you can play the violin, you shouldn't have to have the statistics applied to this. Either you can or you can't. That's all there is to it. Or if you can pole vault and more than 60 feet, then okay, I want to see that. So you don't have to have standards for that. Either you can do it or you can't do it. But we've never had anybody get by the preliminary stage. So we never had to get to the formal stage, which would be at the end of which we would either award the $1 million prize or not. And that the awarding of the prize, incidentally, is not in my hands, because we turn it over at that point to an independent agency that we both agree on, and we put it on deposit with them, and we say, at the end of this, the results will be very evident, with no judging required. Either they did do it or they didn't do it. You either give us a check back or you give it to them. That's all there is to it.
Okay, so you're saying that there is scientific method, there's scientific protocol put in place for a person to prove unequivocally that they can do what they can do, and if they can, you, through somebody else, the proper procedure, they will get the $1 million.
Exactly. No question of it.
Okay, so that's another project that I'll get working on. I will be in contact with you. I don't know what I'll be doing, but I'm sure it'll be good.
Now you must understand something here, that we do it this way because we want to have an airtight protocol to start with. We want to make sure that everybody knows that it's perfectly fair. Now, at the last amazing meeting, which we just held in Las Vegas a week or so ago, we actually had a live test which went up there. And we've never done it live on the internet that way, but we had tens of thousands of people tuned in on the internet, so everything was done in the open. All the protocol was described exactly. Everything was seen by people all over the world. And the lady who failed the test, 3 out of 3 she got wrong, agreed that everything was done fairly and properly, and that the test was approved by her. There were no questions. She had, and then 24 hours later, she goes on the internet. She said, "Oh no, she was cheated. They used sleight of hand and camera tricks and all kinds of things." But that is the case each and every time. We've never had it fail. No one has ever failed the test and simply decided, "Okay, I failed the test. Gee, I guess I better get my ducks in a row here and reorganize it." A year later, they can reapply, of course. But they don't do that. They simply say, "Oh, I just discovered they used walkie-talkies and they were a frequency over 40 megahertz, or it was Thursday or something, and Thursday is not a good day for me."
Okay.
There's always an excuse.